what I like, Noah, about your thing there is a start time to the execution of a study plan. I like that. It's not some, I'm going to start studying and I'm going to ease into it. I like it. On a Monday, I'm starting the execution of my study plan. My recommendation would be that you start your study plan by either watching the podcast playlist where I go through the series 7, the entire exam to get an overview. I made that podcast because some people won't do what we really want them to do, which is read the damn book cover to cover. And people are incredulous when we say that. Don't take notes. Don't get bogged down. Fly high. You just want to see what's in there. I like to read when I'm you don't have to do what I'm suggesting, buffet again, but I like to read the book twice. Once for not understanding, just to see what's in the damn book and where it's at. And then once I start executing the rest of my study plan, then I start doing that. So I would start with reading the book, getting a nice overview of the series 7. And then what you would do, again, it's a suggestion. You might have already have your study plan. But Brian and I both believe in his 3-pillar study process. Brian says, when you get all your stuff done, what you want to be doing is matriculation. I call it matriculation. Matriculate through the various units. Do unit 1, for example, do 30 questions, 25, 75, move on to unit 2, do a quick quiz, custom quiz, 30 questions, 75, don't move on, 1 and 2. Keep bringing that caboose. One reason I don't like people to study for more than 8 weeks, I put a cap at 8, I think, because what happens is sometimes your study plan is so long that by the time you get in the 8th week, you forgot the first week. So you want to keep bringing up that caboose. And I would suggest you do want to cram. You want to have a sense of urgency in getting this done. So I think 6 to 8 weeks is a reasonable plan for execution. I haven't asked you this. I just finished a tutoring session today, and I told you the action plan for this person, Brian, is to please get a test date. You shouldn't begin a study plan without a test date. Best practice is have a date certain where you're going to go take the test. Now you think you're going to take it. So if you don't have your test date, that would be a thing I would do. You have any comments, Brian, on starting a study?
Yeah, we have this template that we want people to follow, and it's the same template for every exam, right? What I call the 3-pillar process, bringing up the caboose, right? So you don't forget what you studied in unit 1, right? But time frames, test dates, again, maybe it's just because I've been doing this for so long. If you're new, if this is your first time taking the test, you got to have a test date 6 to 8 weeks out, period.
Yeah.
But again, we know some of us out there, we work 8 hours. Yeah. We're not given any time at work. We come home, we got to cook dinner, take care of the 8-year-old and the 32-year-old, who's another kid, right? Your spouse, that is. Right. So, there's some flexibility in there, yeah. But it has to be systematic. It has to be day after day after day. You can't just spend a couple of days, 3 days a week on it, and then, go off to the woods for the weekend and then come back for another. Yeah. No. It's got to be systematic.
I love that.
Chance, right?
I love that, Brian.
Flexibility in there, right?
Yeah. I love it, Brian, because this happened today, and the person was upset with me. I referred to their significant other in kids as distractions. And they took exception. I go, well, no. They're obviously more important than your exam. All I'm saying is that we have all those other things that compete with not executing a systematic study plan. Right. I always ask, are you a full-time studier or are you a part-time studier? Today, Brian, they were full-time in another job and we're not getting any time outside of that to study. I said, can you commit to me one 90-minute study block each morning before work? I said, listen, I'm not being noisy. I asked him, what time do you start work? How long is your commute? I said, okay, so 6 to 7:30, we've got a 90-minute block. And if we do that 5 days, okay, now we're systematically, we're matriculating is the word I use, right? I said, what about on Saturday? Are you going to be able to give me 3 or 4 study blocks? I mean, 4 study blocks of 90 minutes with 30 minutes in between is an 8-hour study day. That's plenty. I'd take 3. I said, whatever you're doing on Saturday, do 1 block less. So if you did 3, do 2. And then I said, give yourself permission on either Friday to just do your normal work Your brain will still be working, but going your weekend fresh for your study effort, or give yourself permission to take Monday off after your weekend of study. Same thing, 6 weeks out, we were totaling up how many hours, study hours that is, and that'll work. Now, if you're a full-time studier, I would say the same. Study blocks. Full-time studiers, I would say 4 study blocks. That's an 8-hour day if you're full-time studying. 90 minutes, 30 minutes, refresh, reset, 90 minutes, refresh, reset. And I always think you should change activity and subject area. So I told them on Monday, if we're reading, Tuesday, we're doing practice questions. Wednesday, we're watching a video. If we're doing laws, we're doing laws on Monday. We're doing registrations on Tuesday. If you change those, your brain will stay fresher longer. So, but in no circumstance, part-time or full-time, would you agree, Brian, that they should not be putting it more than 6 weeks, 8 weeks out?
That's exactly right.
I think you're right.
And we are both sympathetic to their other distractions or whatever you want to call them, right? Your real life is what it is. So I always take inventory. I said, "You have any children?" They go, "Yeah, I've got 3." I said, "How old are they?" Now, if they tell me they're 12, 14, and 17, then I know kids can kind of, they're self-reliant.
Yeah.
If they're 2, 4, 6, they need mom or dad there, for a significant part of time.
The other thing I always say, Brian, is
we have to incorporate those.
I was just going to say, get them on the team, make them part of the support team, whether it's your work people or you're assuming work knows and you're there, your family, put everybody on the team, right? The other thing I always say, Brian, is that these people that we help, at least they know there's an end. Yeah. We come into their life for the reason and the season, the reason to help them pass their exam, season, how long, and then they get back to the real world. Yeah. They get out of Series 7 fantasy land or 65 fantasy land. No wonder, Brian, we're demented because we never get to leave. We live here permanently every Tuesday.
But in the test world, I have no real life.